This week, there was a lot of internal dialogue that came up. And what I've wrestled with this week, going through the meditation marathon, was my doubts and not feeling supported. There are a number of reasons why this came up for me. And as the week went on, I got a clear picture of it. And I'll explain that as I go through this video. But I just wanted to talk about how affirmations will confront internal dialogue that has not served you. But in some regards, it has. But it, instead of serving you, has been shackling you in a sense, chaining you to fight or flight, dysregulation, fear, an unhealthy sense of control, which then turns into chaos. So this week, I really had to adjust my practice. And at the beginning of the week, the affirmations just didn't feel like they were hitting right. And that's because of the situation I was going under. And I want to share this because some of the affirmations in this marathon may not resonate with you. The whole video may not resonate with you. And that's because it may not be in direct correlation to the event that you are dealing with that week. Affirmations in reality should always serve what you are going through. But for me and this meditation marathon, I really had to look at the aspect of me trying to control what affirmations were coming up. This isn't the first time I felt this. I've wanted to jump forward in the affirmations to find the ones that I felt best suit me. And that's what I did the first time I went through these affirmations. I found the ones that fit me and I used them and they did work. But on a deeper level, that was me controlling the situation rather than having faith in the situation. So the last 4 weeks, I've really been tapping into that desire and want to be in connection to what will truly serve me rather than what I think will best serve me, what is for my highest good. So this week I struggled a lot with that concept of, is it me forcing my will or is this truly something that's going to best serve me? Because sometimes in affirmations we'll say stuff and they're positive, but sometimes we will force affirmations to work for us rather than our highest good. And that's why I love Florence Scovel Shinn, is her affirmations are always about asking for what works best for the highest good, what's best for divine timing, is divine right, through grace. She really stations it in a way where it's through God, and because we are a vessel and an experience or a reflection of God, that's where those manifestations can come in. But we need to be in connection with that source to understand, is it us or is it truly coming from a place that's going to serve the highest good for all? And I struggled with that this week because the affirmations just weren't regulating me. So what I did was I incorporated another set of affirmations to help ground down and help me make sense of the affirmations that I was um, said to do or was in the program of doing for this week 4. And in the beginning, I did about 3 or 4 extra the first day, and then I dwindled down to 2, and then I dwindled down to just the 1. Because my goal is always to focus on that one set of affirmations. So that was just my process of feeling grounded, and it felt good to me. And each day I felt like I needed less. I felt more secure. And I was also moving through another energy healing process that I'm going through. There, just to let everyone know, I'm an energy healer and a shaman. So I'm constantly taking in information around me from the world. And we have a lot of shifts that are going on collectively and astrologically. So a lot of this stuff is coming up, especially around karma and structures that do not serve and the breaking of illusion. And a lot of this ties into the current astrology shifts that are happening January 26th. we had Neptune enter into Aries and it'll be there for about 13 years. And we also have a Saturn return happening on February the 14th. And we also have eclipse season coming up and a big thing that has to do with Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to be sharing more about this stuff as, the year goes on. But all of this stuff has been fast tracking me and connecting me into this collective energy. So it's really been forcing me in a way to look at the structures that do not serve not only myself, but also collectively. So that's also been playing in the background. And on top of that, I finished the Blueprint of Light. I finished a whole program in a week, which I did about 60 hours worth of energy healing. And my body is still releasing stuff because whenever you do energy healing, it still continues to work for you at least 30 days after the initial healing. So there were a lot of things that were coming up in me that showed me old habits and ways of thinking that were tied into um, wounds that were from my family, my childhood. So there's a lot going on. So trying to stay grounded and trying to stay centered was, it felt more real this week because even though I was doing energy healing, when I'm doing the energy healing, I have something I'm working towards. And that forward movement always makes me feel safe. This week, I was sedentary. There was a lot of waiting. And that limbo feeling is very uncomfortable, I think, not just for myself, but for a lot of people. And mainly because our society tells us to do, be, go. So that stillness is uncomfortable because in that stillness, that's where everything tends to come forward for us to view. So I had to get very present with being still. And in that stillness, I was granted the information on, okay, these affirmations will support you. Do these. This today we're going to do the EFT tapping. Today is the day that you will do your Hebrew Shabbat style healing. And through this stillness, my system, I guess you could say, is becoming more clear on what will help me as I progress. What style of posting for my business? What style and habits do I need to maintain better homeostasis within my physical body? There's been a few different things that have come up this week where I got really clear, okay, this is what I need and this is what I'm going to implement. And a new thing that came up was the fact that I really enjoy listening to audios, and this is all about reading and verbalizing. So, what I'm going to do in the mornings, because in the mornings, I'm finding that reading is also very dysregulating for me. What I'm going to do is by chance, by a twist of fate, which I know there's no twists, it's God giving me a gift, and it came out of a situation it definitely seemed volatile, but in reality, it was building deeper respect between a relationship that I have with a family member. And I know it's one of those things where we're just going through it. We're going to get through it. But through that interaction that some would deem bad, it was more so us just expressing our needs and both of us having space and expressing our feelings and holding space for that, not judging that, and just seeing how we progress forward because everyone's allotted their feelings and are allowed space if they need it to process. And through that interaction, I ended up going on my phone and locating an affirmation I created maybe last year. And I listened to it last night and I'm like, oh my God, this feels so nice. I really like this. So I'm going to listen to that in the mornings to really help me ground down into my space. And then as the morning progresses and I'm more awake and more grounded, what I then will do is then I will tap into my affirmations through these videos and really let that affirmation sit. If I need to do EFT tapping while I'm doing it, I will. If I just need to sit there and mentally say it, if I need to verbalize it. But I want to have that morning to just, not have to think, and reading makes me really anxious. And so what I want to do is create a habit or a positive shift. And these affirmations are so beautiful. I felt that even though they're not Florence Scovel Shinn style, they are very positive. They hit a lot of things that are going on for me right now. And that can grow with this affirmation process. So I'm adding this into the loop. I feel like I'm telling you guys I'm adding in something new each time, but I feel that's what programs are essentially supposed to be like, especially if it's your first time doing it. You will grow, you will shift, you will change because everyone will be different. Some of you might be able to simply listen and watch the affirmation video, say it out loud, and that's all you need. And oh my gosh, I'm so jealous of that. But also, I understand that we are all so different. And so, this is just me finding what works for me. And I also understand that I'm going through a time period of shift and change. So I'm not fully grounded. So I'm grateful that I'm sharing this experience because a lot of people who find affirmation work and want to do mindset work, they're pretty ungrounded. There's a reason why they're drawn to it because they want to find that center. They want to find that peace. So I'm sharing this experience so you can see and give yourself grace. And that's what I had to give myself this week was a lot of grace, a lot of understanding that, okay, we're finding our rhythm, we're finding our balance, and it's okay to, keep this movement and this momentum while you come into center. I kind of feel like it's like a bunch of different rivers falling into one that then goes out to sea. They're all going to the same place. Some of them will just diverge into the main river and flow. And that's what I feel like there's all these tiny channels that are coming into one big channel that will serve me as I continue this progress throughout this marathon and this experience. And so what I have been doing is the EFT tapping, and that's been progressing beautifully. It's amazing to see how quickly my body's adjusting and welcoming in more positive flow. So that's been encouraging. It's been encouraging to see how I can release these upheavals tied to the masculine wound with greater ease, and they're giving me so much information that's positive. And it's very interesting to watch myself heal and release and not have that anger in me anymore, and being okay with that process of allowing anger to come up and work with it. Very encouraging. And also, it's very positive in how I feel safe in speaking my truth, being who I am. And I feel like I'm very regulated in my essence now, which has never really been the case for most of my life because I had to conform to a way of being that never really served me. And on this healing journey, I had to release a lot of old that didn't serve me, ironically, the structures that did not serve, so I could be in a place where I had a clean foundation to rebuild on. And that took a lot of construction work on my end, or demolition, really, a demolition for sure. I left a job that I had for 6 years to build these online programs. I looked at relationships that did not serve me. I've looked at lifestyles that did not serve me. And I've shifted a lot within a year through the help of magnet therapy or magnetic empowerment, the courses that I have, and cleansing and clearing my energetic blueprint so I could have greater peace in the physical and have greater ease in shifting the physical, which is why this year I feel that I have in a clear space to work on my mental constructs and find greater peace in that regulation. Because as I've shared before, the last time I did it, I feel like I was forcing it. I felt like I was the one in the driver's seat. I wasn't really letting spirit drive. And that dysregulation is what I fumbled my meditations last time hardcore because I allowed things back into my life that did not serve me, that dysregulated me. And so that was part of my learning process is, okay, well, what do I need to do to get regulated? So when I do start re-entering into this space of mindset work, I can be grounded, I can be centered, and I can also be at a place where these shadow essences of myself have been cleansed and cleared so they don't trip me up again. So I can be very real with myself through this process, which this week very much so was. And the reality of it was I was dysregulated. I wasn't feeling at peace. The affirmations weren't hitting, and I felt very scared. I didn't feel like I was protected. I didn't feel like I was being provided for. But I also knew that that wasn't the truth. But I'm realizing now that I gave myself space to feel that. And I think that's progress, because before I'd be like, you're not allowed to feel that. You need to be grateful, happy. But I have these feelings. I'm human. And I think that's a part of the spiritual process that we miss out on, is we gaslight ourselves into thinking I need to feel this way all the time. Well, you'll get there, but you need to feel this stuff in the meantime because it's been a part of your reality. And if you push it and subdue it, that's going to become a shadow, and that's going to trip you up down the road. So for me, I'm trying to give this space, but I'm also being proactive and asking, okay, well, I'm feeling this way. What can I do to support me in regulating and moving through this? And what I've been doing is I've been working on cleansing and clearing the astrology points tied to the Virgo South Node placements. And this is a whole thing that I will share later, which is helping me deconstruct the need to control situations, which is a Virgo South Node um, shadow. It's the Virgo South Node lesson, really, is how control, if done through a place of fear, is actually chaos, and it's not serving your highest good. And you really, because control, if it's done to provide order for the greatest good, that allows wiggle room and that allows space for other people to exist. Not just, oh, this is what I want. It's a very different energy. Order and control are very two essences. Control can be a part of order, but order, they're not always a part of each other. So I really had to look at myself and be like, okay, where in each day can I find order amidst the chaos? And what practices do I need that will support me? And as I rewire these constructs within myself, it's very beautiful to see how each astrology sign has played into this, how it has affected me, how it's affected the collective, and just giving myself space to think and feel. Because technically, we are not done with the astrology year. I have two calendars. They begin in Aries season and they end in Pisces. We are still in technically the energetic year of 2025. So I'm still being very present that this energy to me of the year 9 of completion is still kind of working itself out. We also have the Chinese New Year that starts on the 17th. So we still have the year of the snake. And ironically, last night I had a dream that the wooden snake left my body. It's like the shedding was done. And that felt really good. So I'm still giving myself space to learn, study before going into huge big action energetically, on a sense. So for me, I really feel that Capricorn season through Pisces is really a time of deep thought, reflection, to view what structures have served you, which ones haven't, and allowing the energies of Aquarius and Pisces to serve you, because Aquarius and Pisces tend to connect into the higher essence of reality and the higher self, the collective oneness, and that gives you greater access to source, in my perspective. It's that life and death. And to me, Scorpio is where the death happens. This is where you transcend and you start to move into the higher essence, which is Capricorn, and you can see the structures that truly serve you. And through Aquarius and Pisces, that's where you re-enter into the oneness, and Pisces is bringing all that information down into this new year or the new life, which is then instigated when Aries happens, the new year, that new rebirth. So to me, Scorpio through Pisces is really a death and rebirth essence. And it's all about looking at what needs to be shifted and changed. And with Saturn return happening, I feel that this need and urgency to look at that is very strongly instilled in myself as an energy healer and shaman, because I'm not just doing it for myself, I'm tapping into the collective so I can share information with all of you. So there's a lot of that going on in conjunction with this marathon. So for me, I'm just being very open to the fact that there's a lot happening. I gotta be loving with myself. I gotta be gracious. I gotta be understanding that there's just gonna be a lot of possibly turbulence while I get into the flow, and while source, infinite spirit, helps me find that groundedness through different channels. And this week I was really working on inviting in those channels, finding truth of what is the best, and also finding peace and knowing that God will support me in different areas of my life, and that those different areas vary. And that's the intense thing about these affirmations as well, is sometimes my brain gets so jumbled on, what do I need to focus on? Do I need to focus on this area, that area? And I just did not feel grounded. So what I did was I listened to the grounding frequency. This is something that you can get, and I'll post down below. But basically, it taps you into the energy of the earth. Some would say the Schumann resonance, and it helps you ground down. And then what happens is there's another frequency that's called the dyslexia frequency. But really, what it does is it helps you move from a creative mindset into a logical mindset. And when we have the full moon and different energies going on, it can disrupt your body, especially if you're someone who's very sensitive or someone who subscribes to more of the energetic flow of life, which those cycles do not match with where our collective is now on some regards, especially an example of the Gregorian calendar versus the astrology calendar that I created. Very different essences. Are they both needed at this time? I believe so, yes. And it's just a reality of where we are at. So I don't want to ignore one for the other, but I want to be realistic that there are two flows going on within our society. And so this energy healing frequency, grounding myself and then listening to the dyslexic frequency, allows me to shift from those higher meditative states, which I find very comforting, and allows me to get back into reality instead of just staying up there. So it allows me to dance between both worlds. It helps me feel more safe and attuned, because if you're constantly in the higher realms and you never come down into the physical, that too is an issue as well. So I'm finding that dance of, okay, I love being in these higher states because I know there's a lot of shifts going on, but I also have this world that I'm creating here in the reality, in the 3D. So how do I bring that 4D and that 3D together? And that's what these energy healing frequencies a lot, because they help you to get into your body. So for me, that's something that I will definitely be utilizing as I continue this process, and I continue to ground down into this new reality and into this new way of thinking and being. So it's just a transition phase. I'm going to end this by saying, whenever you're making change, you got to give yourself 90 days. 30 days to break a habit, 30 days to instill a new habit, and another 30 days for it to become a lifestyle. 90 days. So where I'm at week 4, I'm roughly about at 30 days. So that's why it was so turbulent. I was breaking a habit, breaking negative mindsets, breaking an idea that, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I need to be in here. Oh, I need to do this. Like it takes 30 days, but you have to be consistent in the 30 days, which I have. Have I been perfect? Absolutely not. But have I added in and done a lot of extra stuff? 100%. So I wanted to share that so you guys can get an idea of the first 30 days. It could be a bit chaotic, but it's okay, because you got to trust the process. And at times I know that trust can be difficult. That's something that I've struggled with, but I'm finding it to be easier as I progress. And I want to encourage you to keep going. And I'm encouraging myself at the same time, keep going. I'm really excited to see what comes out of this. I'm really, really excited. And I know I'm at that 30 days because I've done other programs and I've done other things where once you get into that second month, things start moving and it starts to feel so good. And you really start to crave these things rather than having that resistance. So I'm getting pumped, I'm getting hyped because that resistance is just gonna start depleting and removing and it's just gonna get easier from here. I'm just setting that. I feel it and I know it's just gonna get easier from here. So if you want to join me on this journey, and if you have, share your comments. I'd love to hear what your experience has been. And all of the affirmations are listed in the Mindset Magic playlist. So you can know exactly what I've been using it, and you can follow along with my posts because each week I will share my experience with the affirmations that I used that week. So I'll post the affirmation and then you'll see this video so that you can see, oh, this is what she was experiencing while she was saying these. Okay, cool. I might have the same experience and this is stuff that may help me. For me, it just mentally feels good to do this. So I set it up so it's very you have a guidepost and I feel it'll be more coherent for you if you are on the viewing side of this because I want you to get the most from it. I don't want you to have the affirmations and then have these experiences and be like, well, what the heck? I want you to be supported, which is why I'm posting these videos. So you can be like, okay, well, if this is what she's experiencing, this makes sense why I'm experiencing it as well. I want you to be supported because who doesn't love some support? So I hope that you have a blessed rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next video.